I tell them suckers to move. I ain't in the mood. Got me with the crew, let me do what I do. I tell them suckers to poof. Got me in the booth, lobby in the truth. Let me do what I do. Yeah, remember when the U come through, enter the music jungle. Or back with the block, I used to rock, I used to fumble. I still rock down, drop the ball when I want to. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Manny.
My name's Alberto.
And this is the OnlyFights podcast.
Episode 23.
Last one of the year.
Yeah, man.
It's been a good year, right? I'd say.
Pretty good. How was your Christmas?
It was great, man. I had family come over from, other parts of the country, and
nice.
My daughter was happy, and that's all that really matters to me.
Yeah.
So, well, how about yours?
It was good, man. My son's still a little too young to know what's going on, but it was a good time just to be home and just chill. Didn't really do much.
It'll start to make sense, and it'll all come together in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all love. But there actually was some boxing. There was a PBC had a card. Wasn't too special, with all due respect to the fighters, but Vito Melnecki, Joey Spencer, and Trayvon Marshall, they all had fights. They all won, I believe, by knockout. So shout out to those prospects, But that was that. Speaking of prospects, though, I want to get into our little award ceremony here.
Yeah.
Where we
end of the year wrap up.
Right, where we give credit where it's due, and you probably already seen a bunch of other ones being done. A lot of other people had their list out like before the year was even done. But
yeah,
let's start with prospect of the year. I'll go first. This is an easy one for me, man. I got Xander Zayas. And honorable mention, you can say Jared Anderson.
Yeah.
I think both guys, they're both top ranked guys, but Jared Anderson having 4 fights, winning all 4 by knockout, and Xander Zayas having 6 fights, winning 4 of them by knockout, but winning all 6. Bright young stars in the heavyweight and junior middleweight division.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to these guys in the future.
So in UFC, a couple guys that come to mind are Alex Pereira, 34-year-old Brazilian. He was a glory kickboxer that beat Izzy a couple times.
Oh yeah, yep.
He had his UFC debut back in November. I actually got to witness that one live.
Nice.
And he lived up to the hype, man. In the first round, had a crazy flying knee TKO, and yeah, man, I can't wait to keep watching this guy fight. I think that's the guy that's really gonna give Izzy problems. You know what I mean? It's crazy because they got the same exact build. They're both like real tall for that middleweight division. They're both like 6'4", and that's just a crazy story too. Like they fought, I think, twice in kickboxing. They end up fighting again, like in MMA. That would be pretty crazy. Right. Yeah. And then another fighter is Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. He made his UFC debut this year. Yep. In September. And he had a big TKO win.
I remember that.
Yeah, he was hurt. He was hurt in that fight, where he got rocked a couple times real early. Yeah. And then he came back, and he just like at one point just turned it on and just went off and destroyed the guy. Pretty much smashed him. Yeah. And yeah, those two guys just got a lot of hype around them. Yeah, I mean they each only had 1 win, but I think they both just lived up to the hype. Paddy made a big name for himself in Cage Warriors last couple years, and yeah, I think those 2 guys are gonna be fun to watch.
Word. That's what's up. Word. What
do you want to do next?
Well, I got here my upset of the year. I got a couple, man. Back in September when Josh Warrington would get stopped by Mauricio Lara for the second time. That was a pretty big one. Kiko Martinez knocking out Kid Galahad in November.
Yeah, I think I remember that one.
Yeah, that one was bad. Sander Martin, I don't know, this one just pisses me off, man. But Sander Martin beating Mikey Garcia, that one stung. But I think the biggest one of the year got to be Teofimo Lopez losing to George Kambosos. Yeah. November 27th on DAZN.
That was a hell of a fight.
Great fight. And yeah, I think that was the biggest upset for George Kambosos to take that undisputed championship back to Australia,
Yeah, right.
and just shaking up the lightweight division. So, you got that for my pick.
For sure. For UFC, I think it was pretty easy. What the biggest upset was,
Oh yeah,
Juliana Pena beating Amanda Nunes.
yeah.
Um,
Which we called sort of.
yeah, and just last month, actually not this month, in December, a couple weeks ago, actually. Yeah, I think that was like on paper, like the biggest upset, like betting wise and everything,
Yeah,
like in UFC history. Man, that was crazy, man. I still can't believe it. They got the rematch. They got the rematch set up. Um, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. See if Amanda, prepares the way she has to. We know we know she's capable. I guess it's like that she still had the motivation to do it.
right.
A couple other big upsets in the UFC were I think Beneil Darnouche beat Tony Ferguson in UFC 262 back in May. Man, that Beneil Darnouche is a good up and comer. Not I can't even say up and comer anymore because he's really making a name for himself now. But I just never thought in a million years that he would put it on Tony like that.
Yeah,
That shit was crazy. Like beat him up all 3 rounds and got the unanimous decision. And Beneil Darnouche got the big fight coming up in February 26th against Islam Makhachev. That's a real big fight. A lot of
Yeah.
people think that's gonna be the next the winner will be the next title. We'll get the next title shot after Gaethje. And then also, Jan Blachowicz beat Izzy. Remember when Izzy went up to
Oh yeah.
compete for the light heavyweight belt at 259. Jan was the underdog against Izzy, obviously. And I would say Jan. I mean, I wouldn't say it was easy, but he kind of made it look a little easy. Towards the end.
Right.
Being able to just kind of hold Izzy down. But yeah, that was I think everybody, especially like after those big wins that Israel was coming off of, he kind of looked like he was gonna like unbeatable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was kind of a reality check right there. But yeah, that was a big upset.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. All right. Cool. Next I got trainer of the year. This I think is pretty easy. I always been trying to give it to Derek James because he only has two fighters, but
Who?
they're both great. Derek James, he has Errol Spence and he has Jamel Charlo.
Mm.
Unfortunately, Errol Spence suffered the injury and couldn't have his big fight with Manny Pacquiao, and Jamel Charlo had a draw in his fight. So I think it's pretty unanimous for me now. Eddie Reynoso gets another one.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the Bill Belichick of this boxing shit right now. When the Patriots were the Patriots, but
Yeah.
yeah. So for those that don't know, he trains Ryan Garcia, Andy Ruiz, Oscar Valdez, and the pound for pound, Canelo Alvarez. So this year alone, he had to prepare for Ryan Garcia taking on Luke Campbell, and also was it JoJo? No, it was Fortuna. He was supposed to fight Javier Fortuna, but he had to pull out for health reasons.
Yeah.
But he was training him for that fight. So Andy Ruiz, he trained him to fight Chris Arreola early this year. He trained Oscar Valdez to fight Miguel Berchelt and Robson Gonzalez.
Yeah.
And he trained Canelo for Yildirim, Billy Joe, and Caleb Plant. Canelo going undisputed. So yeah, I think it's very unanimous. I don't really see any other trainers coming close.
Yeah.
To doing what Eddie did this year. So you got that, man.
Yeah, it's kind of a similar story in UFC. I gotta give it to Trevor Whitman. I'm pretty sure he probably won it last year as well. And he's the head coach right now. He got three fighters: Kamaru Usman, the welterweight champ; Rose Namajunas, the women's flyweight champ;
Nice.
and Justin Gaethje, one of the top lightweights in the game. That's crazy, man. And at 268, with the one in Madison Square Garden that I went to, he had all three of them fight.
Yeah.
And I think it's the second time that they do that. I think it's the second time they do that. They did that, like, I think on a card last year. And that's just crazy when I mean when that guy's coaching all three of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, steel sharpens steel. Like Justin Gaethje and Kamaru Usman are pretty much training partners. I mean, they said they pretty much fight every day at practice.
Right.
So that's gotta be crazy. Them two going at it.
Yeah.
They both got very different styles, so I can see how they both probably really help each other a lot. Like Gaethje being more of a striker and Kamaru being more of a wrestler. Especially over the years, like seeing Kamaru's striking, get better.
Yeah, that's dope.
You got to credit all that to Trevor Whitman, really. So yeah, Rose won her, she won her belt back in April when she beat Zhang Weili, and then at 268 she beat her again. So she had 2 fights this year. Kamaru Usman had 3 fights this year. He defended his belt 3 times. That's crazy. He beat Gilbert Burns, he beat Masvidal, and then he beat Colby Covington at 268. And then Gaethje was the least active. He only had the 1 fight against Chandler, but that was a massive fight,
Right.
and a massive win. So yeah, man, I think Trevor Whitman, pretty easy. A couple other good coaches, Rafael Cordero. He has a lot of fighters that are making their way up. Like he's the one that he's the head coach of Beneil Dariush, Giga, the one guy from in the featherweight division coming up, Chris Cyborg, Sabina Mazo. He has a lot of good fighters, and he also, I don't know if you know, I'm sure you know, he's the one that's been working with Tyson as his coach. I think he might have been his coach at the last fight when he fought Roy Jones Jr.
Oh, okay. Oh, right, yeah. My bad. I'm thinking of Fury. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, my bad.
Okay.
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, he's been working with the
fought.
MMA coach. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the other coach is the coach from City Kickboxing, where Izzy fights out of, Eugene Behrman. They have so many good guys coming out of there. Obviously Izzy, he's champ. Alexander Volkanovski is the featherweight champ. The other flyweight we just saw, Kai Kara France, that we saw the other day, he's out of that camp as well. Dan Hooker and Brad Riddell, just a couple other, top fighters. Yeah. That's all I got for Coach of the Year.
Cool. All right, yeah. So from Coach of the Year, we'll go to Fighter of the Year. So I don't want to say it's too unanimous, but I'll just say for women's boxing, we got to give it to Katie Taylor.
Yeah.
She had 3 fights this year, taking on Natasha Jones, Jennifer Hahn, and Farisa Sharapova. Winning all of them pretty handily. So shout out to her, and she's whole time defending her undisputed championship. So
Yeah.
But speaking of undisputed, we saw Canelo Alvarez start his journey really last year, but it was in December, so he had a fight in late last year.
Yeah.
And wins one piece of the 168 championship in that division, and the WBC, and then he defends it against Yildirim. He takes on Billy Joe Saunders for his title, and then he takes on Caleb Plant for his title.
Nice.
And goes undisputed, and he did all that in a year. So it's really hard to dispute that. I mean, that's fight of the year right there. But
Yeah,
I do
man.
want to give a shout out, honorable mention, to another fighter who would have deserved it if it wasn't for Canelo. It has nothing to do with anything else. So Nonito Donaire.
Yeah.
He did his thing. He lost a pretty close fight to the monster Noe in 2019 in like November,
Yeah.
and he didn't fight at all in during like the pandemic in 2020. At the age of 39, man, he comes back this year, and he fights 2 undefeated opponents, 2 ranked opponents, and stops them both. He knocked them both out. I think he's really close to deserving the fight of the year. It's hard to to go against what Canelo did. So,
Yeah.
But he definitely deserves a lot of credit for what he did.
Word.
You know what I mean? he's always been overshadowed by he's Filipino, so he's always been overshadowed by Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and Pacquiao's gone, so he trying to shine
Pressure's
now.
on, yeah.
Yeah.
For UFC, so this is kind of hard a bit between two guys for me. So for honorable mention, I gotta say Kamaru Usman. Obviously, like I said, he defended his belt 3 times. You know, huge fucking wins, really impressive wins. And you can just, and like I always say this, but just his improvement is clear as day. Like over the last couple years.
Yeah, especially with the striking.
Yeah, like he's just getting so much better. It's crazy. And then I'm gonna give it to Fight of the Year to Charles Oliveira, man, just because of his story and like, you know, the type of fights he had this year. He had the 2 big fights against Chandler in May at 262. That was to win the belt. He fought Michael Chandler, you know, for the pretty much the vacant belt after Khabib officially retired, and you know he got hurt in the first round and came back and won the second. You know, in the second round, knocked him out, won the belt. And then his first title defense was at 269 against Dustin Poirier, and you know had another super impressive win where he faced adversity and was able to choke him out. You know, his story is just crazy. He's been in the UFC over 10 years. He had a lot of losses over the years, and he's 32 years old now, and now he holds a record for most UFC finishes and most UFC submissions. Yeah, man, it's pretty impressive, and I was really happy, you know, really happy for him.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah, he did his thing.
So we'll see what's next for him. Hopefully, oh yeah, well, I think Gaethje is the one that's up next, and you know, obviously Conor is tweeting shit out, and Oliveira said obviously that he would fight Conor, no questions asked. But yeah. So and then for the females, you gotta say Valentina Shevchenko, man. I think she now is gonna kind of take over the title of the greatest woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, her only real losses are to Amanda Nunes, and that's when Valentina had to go up a weight class to fight her. You know what I mean?
Right.
She's really a natural 125er. So yeah, she's 33 years old now. She had 2 more title defenses this year against Lauren Murphy at 266 in September, and then in April 261 against Jessica Andrade. Both, you know, knockout wins. Yeah, and it doesn't seem like anybody's gonna get in her way anytime soon. So Valentina's probably gonna be champ for a while. I mean, then again, that's what we thought about it, Amanda.
Yeah, she was though for some time.
But yeah, that's it for Fight of the Year.
Word Fighter of the Year. So now we move on to Fight of the Year. I got a couple. So right away, on March 13th, after watching Chocolatito versus Juan Estrada for the second time, I was like, that's Fight of the Year right there, bro.
Yeah.
That was a crazy slugfest, you know, with 2 guys in the really lower weight classes. And that was the second time fighting. They were supposed to fight a third time. I think they're going to fight early next year. But the only thing that leaves a stain on this fight is I really, really thought that Estrada won this fight, and they gave it to Chocolatito. So, you know, I don't want to scream robbery, but, you know, if anything, to me, that was a robbery. But a good fight, though. Great fight. It was on DAZN. And another great fight that was on DAZN was the fight that I touched on just a moment ago with Kambosos and Teofimo Lopez. You know, like you said, that was a hell of a fight. But my favorite fight of the year has to be Jamel Charlo versus Brian Castano, because it was supposed to be for undisputed, and though it ended in a draw, I liked it. If you remember, I scored it a draw.
Yeah.
I thought a draw was the right call because, you know, I just thought both guys won 6 rounds each apiece. It was a great fight. They're gonna fight again, I believe, early next year, in like February, and I'm looking forward to that. So, because those guys went at it, man. You know, Castano definitely had Charlo hurt in that fight, and Charlo definitely had Castano hurt in that fight. Yeah. I can't wait to see the rematch. I think this time Charlo's gonna knock him out. Boom. Early prediction.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was my fight of the year.
Fight of the year. I might be a little biased again because I witnessed it live, but Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler, man, I think that was a pretty easy decision for me.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a fight. Fucking slugfest. Both guys got hurt, and yeah, which is absolute war. Gaethje ends up getting that win by decision. Most likely gonna get the next title shot in the lightweight division. Michael Chandler, who knows how long he's gonna stick around. He said he wasn't gonna stick around too long, and he already had a title shot. So we'll see what happens. A couple other good fights was the Max Holloway and Yair Rodriguez fight.
Yeah.
Back in November. That was a fight night. That was a really good fight. Holloway won that fight, but Yair really, was in there the whole fight, and both their styles are just fun to watch. Also, gotta shout out fucking Corey Sandhagen, man. He had two really good fights this year. He fought T.J. Dillashaw.
Yeah.
That was a really good fight. TJ's fight back, and then he also fought Peter Yan after Dillashaw was hurt and wasn't able to fight for the belt. Sandhagen steps in and he fought for the belt against Yan at 267. Another great fight, another close loss for Sandhagen, but
Yeah.
man, that kid's real fun to watch, and I think he will be champ. I think he'll be champ one day. And I think that's it, man. The Usman and Kobe fight that I saw at 268, that was also a great fight. It was a lot of them. It was hard to pick just
Yeah.
a couple.
Yeah. I like that one, the Usman
Yeah, Kobe too.
Covington. All right, cool. So let's go to everybody's favorite, the knockout of the year.
Yep.
Yeah, I know you have two different categories there, but
Yeah.
so let me start by saying that I'm gonna go with the honorable mentions. I'm gonna work my way up here. In women's boxing, you had, and this was a good upset too, but Alicia Baumgardner knocking out Terry Harper. That was
Yeah.
on the same card with Kiko Martinez knocking out Kid Galahad. I remember that. The DAZN upset.
Yeah.
So she knocked her out in the fourth round, and if you remember, I explained it like how Igamar Johansson knocked out Floyd Patterson. If you can YouTube that.
Yeah.
That happened in like in the 60s, or 50s actually. Yeah, man, he hit him so hard that he kind of just he falls, gets back up, and just starts walking to his corner, thinking that the round was over, but
Yeah.
the fight's still going. And then eventually gets knocked out. So with this, this is kind of what was about to happen. Alicia Baumgardner catches Terry Harper with a hook, and she just literally just standing there like she literally doesn't know what's going on. It was scary. It was really scary, and Alicia runs over like she's ready to attack, and the referee was just like, nah, you don't need to do that. Stops the fight right there. That was a pretty brutal knockout. Another brutal knockout, Oscar Valdez, Miguel Berchelt. That was back in February. Bit of a shocker with a lot of, me and a lot of people thinking that Berchelt was going to win this fight probably by knockout, and he would end up getting knocked out in a very devastating fashion. He was getting outboxed all night, and yeah, man, misses with a swinging. He swings a wild overhand right, and then just gets caught with a left hook or uppercut. I can't remember, but it was a straight right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was bad. Yeah, I'm sure if you're a fight fan, you probably seen it, man, because that went viral, around that time. So, but to me, my favorite knockout of the year was because of the Rocky story, almost quite literally with Gabe Rosado, man, being from Philly.
Yeah.
And being like if you watched Rocky had like a crazy record. He didn't have a nice record. He had like 20 wins and 30 losses, like something crazy like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so Gabe Rosado has like I think the same. I think he's like 17 and 17 or something like that. And he comes in as a journeyman for Bektemir. Man, I can never pronounce his last name. Malikaziev. Well, we call him Beck the Bully, and
Yeah.
he was a knockout artist, and he had Gabe hurt in the first round. Gabe actually ended up taking a knee to save himself from some punishment. Started to find a rhythm in the second round, and in the third, he would counter Beck with a perfectly timed right hand, and put the bully to sleep. Man, it was beautiful. Yeah, so that was mine's.
Nice.
Gabe Rosado knocking out Beck the Bully.
So I'll do the same thing. I'll work my way up. So, we just talked about Corey Sandhagen. He had a nasty KO against Frankie Edgar
Oh yeah,
in February, flying knee.
yeah,
That was crazy. Yeah, so Corey Sandhagen had 3 fights this year. That's crazy. He had a hell of a year, though, man. He lost his last 2, but they were awesome fights.
yeah.
Yeah, so that flying knee against Frankie Edgar was wild. That was a hell of a KO. He hit him clean, hit him flush on the chin, and he just went stiff right away. And that was, I think, early in the first round of that fight. Another crazy KO was Yuri Prochaska, spinning elbow KO against Dominic Cruz. That was a fight night back in May. That was vicious, like spinning elbow right to the jaw, and just Dominic Cruz just goes stiff and drops straight down. And he's completely out. That was crazy. That was Yuri's own. That's only Yuri's second fight in the UFC. His first fight he fought Volkan Oezdemir, who was former challenger for the belt at light heavyweight. So everybody thinks that Yuri's gonna get the next title shot against Glover Teixeira. Which I think he might beat Glover, man. This guy's crazy. Like, this is only his second fight in the UFC, but he was in Rising, the one in the promotion in Asia.
Okay.
He was there for a couple years, and he was super active and had a bunch of big knockouts and stuff. So, expecting a lot out of him. And then the KO of the year I have to give to somebody I mentioned a lot already, Kamaru Usman, knocking out
Oh yeah.
Jorge Masvidal at 261 back in April in Jacksonville, Florida. I believe that was the first UFC event with fans back after COVID.
Oh okay.
In Florida, Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Man, that was crazy, man. I really thought Masvidal was gonna win that fight. That was a rematch after him losing the close decision. Well, not really close decision, but he lost the decision to Usman in the first fight that he took on short notice. So
He had a lot of weight to cut in that fight, real fast, right?
yep, he had to cut a lot of weight in just a couple weeks. So I really thought Masvidal was gonna pull this off. Masvidal has never been knocked out before. He had all the hype in the world behind him, and the way Usman just fucking landed that straight right hand,
Yeah.
man, that shit was crazy. I never thought in a million years that Masvidal would get knocked out like that. Like the way his when they show the slow motion, you can see like the sweat like coming off of Masvidal's face when he gets hit.
Yeah.
Like it's just the highlight is just crazy to watch. Yeah, man. Like I said, Usman's striking is really is he was known as a wrestler. Now he's knocking out one of the best strikers in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was crazy. So yeah, Usman, gotta give it knockout of the year to Kamaru Usman.
No Sergio Pettis with his knockout against the
Oh yeah, I mean that was a good one too. Yeah, it was like a spinning back fist. Yeah.
It was just good because he was getting his ass whooped the whole fight. And
Yeah.
then, third, fourth round, he just lands that shot, and it didn't look like a lucky shot. It looked like he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's what's up though. Yeah, no, that Usman knockout, that was definitely on my mind.
Yeah, that shit hurt because I'm a big Masvidal fan. But
Oh yeah,
gotta give it to
same
him.
here.
Yeah.
I like them both, so it really,
Word.
it was just nice, man. Nice for what I watched.
And then I got the extra one with a submission of the year.
Oh, right.
Submission of the year. So let me do a couple honorable mentions first. Amanda Nunes, back in March at UFC 259, submitted Megan Anderson with like a reverse triangle armbar, where she had her triangled with her legs, and then pulled the arm down and was arm barring her at the same time while she's choking her with her legs. It's like a crazy fucking. And she pulled that one off like quick in the first round. I think she hurt Megan Anderson like right away. Dropped her with a punch, and then pulled off that reverse triangle armbar. That shit was crazy.
Yeah.
And then another one, Well, I have to say, Brandon Moreno when he submitted Davison Figueroa in the second fight. No, wait. Yeah, the second fight.
Yeah.
The second fight at 263 in June. Moreno's the first Mexican-born champ, and his story's crazy. He was cut from the UFC in 2018. Came back like at the end of 2019 and went on a run, and now he's a champ again. So yeah, the way he beat Davison like on the feet and then on the ground as well. He ends up getting the rear naked choke, and made him tap, which is crazy because Davison, I don't think he's ever been submitted before, and he's a high level jiu-jitsu guy himself. So that was super impressive.
Yeah.
And we get to see the trilogy at 270 in January 22nd. And so the submission of the year, and also another honorable mention, obviously I would say Charles Oliveira getting his like signature move, basically like the standing rear naked choke against Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
That was a great one.
Just the level of competition that he did. Yeah, I feel that.
So submission of the year, Anthony Hernandez, not a very big name fighter, middleweight, 28 years old from California. He submitted Rodolfo Vieira at UFC 258 with the guillotine choke. Rodolfo Vieira is like very high level Brazilian black belt in jiu-jitsu. He was undefeated before this. He had never been submitted, and all his wins were by submission. So this guy is like, like I said, just a straight up jiu-jitsu guy, pretty much. All his wins were by submission, and he's undefeated. And he's a really big guy for that weight class. For 185, like that guy looked like he weighed like 225 pounds. He looked massive. Like he's one of those real big muscular guys. Like he got fucking massive muscles. He looks so big. And then like especially compared to Hernandez's nickname is Fluffy because he's like a little, he's like a little chubby. He's not like, I wouldn't say he's out of shape, but he's like a little chubby. You can tell he probably doesn't cut a lot of weight. Yeah. Which I think is good. I think guys should fight at more natural weights.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it just looked huge. That was like the biggest what do you call it? He was like the biggest underdog on that card. Hernandez, and man, so in the first round, it's actually a pretty good fight. Rivera takes him down, and it's pretty much just mauling him the whole time, going for submission attempts. Like he almost gets so many different submissions. He almost gets like an anaconda choke. He almost gets an armbar, and he gets he almost gets a bunch of submissions, and beats Hernandez up pretty good on the ground. And like I said, this guy has a whole lot of muscles, and he just must have completely gassed himself out in those first 3-4 minutes, because the last minute of the fight, he was just gone. Like he couldn't do anything at that point. Like Hernandez was able to get the fight back on the feet, and Vieira can't do shit. He's just trying to go for takedowns, and even when he's getting the takedowns, he can't hold the position, so he's getting reversed. And then in the second round, Hernandez submits him. He gets the guillotine choke on Vieira when he goes for a takedown, and makes him tap. Man, that was really crazy for him to make such a high level black belt tap like that.
Yeah.
Just goes to show, like, all those muscles, man, they take a lot of energy to keep the blood pumping through all those muscles.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, even in a sport like MMA, it's just crazy.
And like I said, I'm sure I'm sure that guy cut a lot of weight, and that probably also affected him a lot.
Yeah.
Cause it was just wild to see how gassed he was. Like he was just completely tired after not even the first round, after the first 3 minutes or so. Yeah. So yeah, man. Anthony Hernandez for that one gets the submission of the year for me.
Cool.
Yep.
Word. So that wraps up our little award ceremony here.
Word.
Hey. Well, that's what's up, man. We definitely have some events we want to touch on in the future, like this weekend. Is it this weekend? Yeah. January 1st, basically, start of the year. We have on Fox pay-per-view. It's not like a regular pay-per-view. It's like a half price. It's like $40.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So it's you have Luis Ortiz taking on Charles Martin for the IBF heavyweight title eliminator. So whoever wins this fight will be a mandatory for whoever wins between AJ and Usyk.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever wins this fight will probably fight Usyk. Or if Usyk can manage to get the Fury fight. which I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
But on the undercard of this, we have Frank Sanchez. Who I forgot to mention, that's another uh, Eddie Reynoso's fighter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he beat F.A. Ajagba pretty good. So add that to why I got Eddie Reynoso's for Trainer of the Year. Anyways, Joni Rice, Michael Coffey, Gerald Washington. Oh, so these are all heavyweights. All heavyweights, yeah, okay. So that's how we're gonna kick off the year.
Yeah.
In boxing. In January 15th, I guess 2 weeks after that, on ESPN Plus, this is a free fight. Joe Smith Jr. taking on Callum Johnson for the WBO light heavyweight title, 175. And then a week after that, you have Gary Russell Jr. taking on Mark McSile. So that's a sleeper right there. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, January 22nd on Showtime. So that's a free fight if you got Showtime. Oh, and then January 29th, rescheduled card with Chris Eubank Jr. taking on Liam Williams. Savannah Marshall. Also on that card is Clarissa Shields taking on Emma Cozen. So,
Nice.
and then Alunga Makabu, the supposedly future opponent of Canelo, fights on that same day with the Eubank and Williams fights. Yeah, so pretty decent start. Some other decent fights. I'm not gonna continue. I'll save that for future episodes. But pretty decent way to kick off the year for boxing.
Nice. Yeah, UFC comes back on January 15th. There's a fight night. Calvin Kattar taking on Giga. That should be a really good fight, man. Welterweight bout. I think Giga's ranked number 8, and Calvin Kattar's ranked number 5. That should be a really good fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe the week after that, the 22nd, is the big UFC pay-per-view for the month, 270. Francis Ngannou taking on Cyril Gane. And the co-main is the trilogy fight that we talked about, Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figueroa.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That should be a good one.
Good card.
Really good card. A lot of things are up in the air with Francis, man. Like, so we know that he only has one more fight left on his contract. This next fight is his last fight. He hasn't won it to renew yet. So a lot of people were thinking this was his last fight, and they asked Dana White about it, in an interview recently, and he said that, well, actually there's a champion clause in every fighter's contract that says basically that if you're the champ and you're defending the belt on your last fight of your contract and you win, then your contract automatically gets renewed for one more fight.
That's ridiculous.
That's pretty crazy.
That's
so.
How does that work financially? Like, is it the same money? Like,
I would guess that it would be the same money or whatever. I mean, maybe
there should be a raise. It should be, you should make more than you made in your last fight. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't want to get into that because that's when I start shitting on the Dana.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
start getting my Jake Paul on.
So yeah, I don't think a lot of people didn't know about that because they just knew that this was his last fight. So, but he would have to get paid more, I would think, because yeah, I would think that they would still be open to negotiating the money. I don't think it would be just the same money. Because that next fight will be with John Jones if he wins. You know what I mean? John already said he wants to fight whoever's next or whoever wins that fight. So if Francis wins, he would have to fight one more fight, and then after that he decides if he wants to go or.
What if he just like relinquishes the title?
Right now? Or you mean like after he wins?
Yeah. Or right now. I mean, whichever would make more sense, because if he couldn't contractually do it after he winning, then I don't know. I don't know. See, I don't know how that works, man. Like,
yeah, it's weird.
I don't like the lack of freedom that some of these UFC fighters have. But then
yeah,
again,
they have no freedom.
I don't wanna get into that because I really will get my Jake Paul on and just start talking about Dana like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I don't know how to run it. I don't know how to run a company like UFC. So I'm gonna shut the fuck
I think what I respect about Dana is that he's kind of open about everything. Like they asked him that in a very public interview, and he just he said it very honestly. Like, yeah, I mean, he's like, well, this actually isn't his last fight.
Yeah.
If he wins, he's got one more. Yeah, I don't know, but that's also a tough fight for him. He might not win that fight. So if he loses, then that is his last fight.
Right. Yeah.
and then he can do whatever he wants. I mean, Dana said that.
What if he?
Go ahead.
Plot twist. What if he whoops Cyril Gane's ass for 4.5 rounds and then just taps out at the end? Like there's a movie. I think there's a movie like that.
Yeah.
With Michael J. White, where he's just whipping the guy's ass, basically proving like I can beat this guy. But I think a lot of people had money on him, and he was just like to spite the people that put money on him. He tapped out at the end, so he technically lost.
So to prove that he was better, but then
just whip his ass for 4.5 and then when the 10-second bell hits in the 5th round, just tap out, and then be like, I ain't champ no more. I'm out.
Yeah.
That'd be some shit, bro. That'd be some shit.
That would be some shit,
because well, I don't know what the hell's going on with John Jones, but if he can, I don't know, is he gonna fight again? Like, is he contractually obligated to fight again? Do you think UFC's gonna keep him with all his legal problems, or?
Yep, I think so.
If there's a scenario where both those
the guy
guys
gets lucky, John Jones gets lucky every time.
If there's a scenario where both those guys but the thing is like there's more people now. Like, the UFC doesn't need John Jones. Like, they really don't. But the crazy thing is, if Ngannou leaves and John Jones can't fight him, and then he leaves UFC, and then they both fight somewhere else, like Bellator. Like, if Bellator can manage to sign both those guys, and then we finally get that big fight in Bellator, man.
Dana would be fucking pissed. You let that one go.
And he'd have some competition, and Bellator can finally sell a fucking pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't matter what you put on that undercard. But, yeah, man, that would be a hell of a again, plot twist. You know what I'm saying? If something like that were to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like Ngannou is like, I think he's pretty smart. Dana White was kind of blaming his representation. He's saying that, that Ngannou's managers don't know what the fuck they're doing and this and that. But who knows? Who knows what the truth is? It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Blood and Bones. That was the movie that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
With Michael J. White. Yeah. All right. So, yeah. It's interesting.
Very.
More drama coming with the UFC. That's cool. Drama always sells. Right, that's what gets people emotionally involved with these fighters.
Yep.
I mean,
and, Francis always said that his initial dream when he started fighting was to be a boxer. I mean, he said he saw Mike Tyson and he wanted to be heavyweight champ.
Well, he's a little late on that. I hope he doesn't look for that as a career path. I don't see that going too well.
If he leaves, that's where he goes for sure. I think. I don't think he sticks with MMA if he leaves.
How old is he? You know?
He's definitely up there in his mid-30s because he started late. Yeah. But the only reason he did MMA is because I really recommend everybody go and listen to Francis Ngannou on JRE. He tells his whole life story, and it's a fucking crazy movie, bro. Like, he basically has to escape from Africa, and the whole story is wild. They're definitely gonna make a movie on that guy's life.
He's from Ghana, right?
No, he's from Cameroon.
Oh. He's
from Cameroon, and so he had to pretty much escape from Africa and make his way up to France, and then the first gym he found was an MMA gym, and he just happened to just start training MMA, and that's how he got into it.
Wow.
And the story's crazy, man. He went there pretty much with no money, and the owners of the gym pretty much just let him, they talked to him and they pretty much let him stay there, and he started training there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that story out myself.
Yeah, it was really, really dope, really inspirational, really crazy.
Word. Well, I mean, that was our awards. We hit y'all with what's coming in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
We hope you guys had a good Christmas. We hope you guys have a good happy holidays, happy New Year.
Yep.
And we'll catch y'all next week. Next year. Once again, my name is Manny.
My name's Alberto.
This is the OnlyFights podcast, and we out.
Peace.
Peace.